Leafs still out in the West in Edmonton last night. Game time wasn't until 10, so I fell asleep. Now, I did see the entirety of the first period, and this game was the Toronto-Edmonton type of game we were hoping for in the beginning, whereas those first two games weren't the greatest, especially that first one. This one was like, the first period was just high-flying. There wasn't a lot of shots overall, but the pace of the game was just back and forth, and the teams would kind of take turns setting up for stretches in the other team's zone. But to illustrate the lower shot example, like the Leafs, the best sequence of the game, I thought, the Leafs set up in the Edmonton zone. It must have been for well over a minute. They just had the thing going around, but they didn't get a shot out of the whole thing. So, it was one of those, right? But, yeah, I thought they both teams played well. They both took turns. They both seemed to have a speed game going. But the Leafs have just been on a roll, and they keep rolling. They opened the scoring going up 2 in the first period. The first one was just kind of a play by the fourth line. It was Spezza, Barabanov, and Boyd. It's puberty still, right? Barabanov forced the play back behind the net, and then Boyd got it out front to Spezza, or kind of shifted it over to Spezza, who walked kind of just out front and put a weak little backhand on net, but Koskinen must not have been ready for it or something, because it snuck through him somehow, and there was a 1-0 Leaf lead. Later in the period, kind of a broken play in front of the Edmonton net. The puck was up in the air for a short spell. It came down, and Tavares, I think, took a swipe at it, and instead of getting a shot on net or whatever he wanted to do, it just ended up kind of being somewhat of a pass over to Nylander. At least that's what it looked like to me. Maybe he was trying to pass it to Nylander. I don't know. But Willie was parked off to the right side of Koskinen, and he just kind of one-timed it into the net. And that's good, because Nylander hasn't scored since the opening game of the season, where he had 2 against Montreal, but he's gone quiet since. So that was good to kind of get the monkey off his back. Now, I did see pieces of the second period, because that was when I was kind of fading in and out of consciousness, and the refs sucked in this game. We've seen a lot of shoddy officiating so far. Kerfoot got called for 2 slashing penalties in the game. The first one, you can't call a tap a slash. It was literally like one hand, deep, but because it was on his glove, oh, it's a fucking slash. It's ridiculous. Fortunately, I think they killed off that first one, but the second one, he didn't even slash him. He didn't even touch him, and they called him for slashing, and that put the Oilers up on a 5-on-3 power play, and they scored. Their only goal of the second period, the Oilers, I forget who it was. It doesn't matter. I think it was Draisaitl, which cut the lead, the Leaf lead to 2-1. And then going into the third, a whole bunch of scoring then took place. The teams would trade goals, with Edmonton getting on the board first. First goal was a Draisaitl power play goal. Second goal was a Wayne Simmons tip. A Marner let it go from a little ways out, a wrist shot, and he got his stick on it. Put it in. That's Wayne's third goal. He's heating up. He's doing his thing. After that, Kassian would score for the Oilers on a kind of greasy goalmouth scramble. And then the final strike of the night, though, would go to Austin Matthews when the Leafs got on the power play and got their own power play goal, with Wayne Simmons providing a bit of a screen and a ruckus in front. Matthews let his unbelievably hard and accurate shot go, and it went in, and there's a 4-3 win. So again, they were talking about it, like, all of the Leafs victories this year have been by 1 or 2 goals. They've all been really close, and a lot of the 2-goal games have been because they scored an empty net. So they really essentially are 1-goal games, right? So they're finding a way to compete and play in tight games and close games out, whereas in the past they always found a way to cough up leads and go either go to overtime and lose a point, or eventually gain the 2 points, or just blow the lead in the third and get no points when they were in a position to win, right? So that's a really good step in their kind of evolution. In the end, the game, I mean, that's about as close a game as you can get. All the stat categories were within 2 or 3 of each other either way, sort of thing, and yeah, that was more of a Leaf Oiler game that you're expecting these days, right? So now going back to the last game, I didn't really see what happened at the end, but oh, I love it. At the end of the game, after the whistle went, Muzzin just kind of flipped the puck lightly at Tkachuk, and he lost his mind and went after Muzzin. And then when he was leaving the bench, he's fucking ripping the water bottle thing off the wall, because he's a fucking stooge. He's a fucking stooge. This just illustrates what kind of a fucking idiot he is, right? Like, a nice little puck flip. People are getting all excited. Well, he flipped the puck at him. You lob a puck at a guy who's wearing tons of gear, like at a kilometer an hour, and it sparks that kind of a response. I don't care if you just lost a hockey game. Like, fucking grow up. So he loses his mind on that, and then I saw they played Montreal last night, the Flames, and he got the shit beaten out of him by Ben Sherratt. I hate the Habs. I hate Ben Sherratt. I hate all their players, but I got to admit, I love Ben Sherratt today for beating the shit out of Matthew Tkachuk, and after the aftermath of the Leaf Calgary game, I was watching Sportsnet, and there was a couple guys on, and they were talking about Matthew Tkachuk. Is he over the line? Is he on the line? Is he good for the game? Is he not good for the game? And they're like, well, we're talking about him, so he must be good for the game. And he plays on the line. He never crosses it. He's only been suspended twice or whatever. Like, because he gets away with things. It's not that he shouldn't have been suspended more. It's that they fucking somehow let this guy get away with shit, whereas other guys would get suspended for it. Like, during the Leaf game, when he went down on Jack Campbell, he just made it look like an accident. And then he drives his fucking knee into Jack Campbell's head. Like, he's a master at going like, ooh, I fell, that sort of thing. When it's complete, to the obvious fucking fan, it's completely, you could see right through it, right? It goes back to the playoffs last year when he fucking stepped on Scheifele's foot and cut him with his skate blade and he was out of the playoffs. I don't care. People say, no, he didn't mean to do it. He meant to do it. You could see his skate come up right at the end. He knows what the fuck he's doing. These guys are professionals. They don't not have control of their fucking bodies while they're skating. They've been playing hockey their whole lives. It's their livelihood. Like, don't give me this shit. And he should have been suspended for that. He should have been suspended for a whole bunch of other things. But for some reason, they don't suspend him. So I don't buy this. He's only been suspended twice bullshit. Yeah, he's only been suspended twice. He should have been suspended a lot more. So he's a piece of shit, basically. He's cheap. One day, it's going to be like the Matt Cook on Mark Savard thing. And this guy's going to end somebody's career with one of his fucking cheap shots. And then the league's going to go, oh shit, I guess we better suspend him. Yeah, well, maybe if you'd suspended him 100 other times, he wouldn't have done something like this. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I can definitely see it happening. You've seen this with other guys that are cheap. Like I mentioned, Matt Cook ending Mark Savard's career, right, with that concussion. Like, that's how easily, it just takes one shot, And when you let a guy like this run around and do whatever the fuck he's doing, it's just like telling him, yeah, it's okay. We'll just give you penalties every once in a while. And most of the time we won't, right? So, yeah, I respect the opposition, even though I hate the Habs, even though I hate the Sens. I still respect most of their players. I don't truly hate them. I just hate them as an opponent. The Tkachuks I actually hate, These are the types of guys that I don't appreciate being in the game because they just put other guys at risk. It's like they just have no respect for their competition, and it's kind of like anything to win, even if it is cheap and causes potential injuries to other people, So I don't appreciate that, and I can't wait to see what happens during the Leafs, the next game against Calgary and Toronto. So until then, we got to go through a few other teams. We got Edmonton again on Saturday night, so we'll see what happens there, step by step. But for now, the Leafs are rolling. They're finding their mojo, and that's another 2 points. Have a good day.